All right, hi you guys. So here's our warm-up. It says, have you all ever seen an actual paper map? What things are on a paper map? What is the purpose of the little part on a map that has a scale with two lines on it? So when you look at the first map, our scale is here. And on the second map, our scale is here. So what's the purpose of that? So go ahead and write your answer in your notebook, press pause on the video, and then once you've written your answer down, press play. All right, so what things are on a paper map? So it gives you cities, roads, it gives you geographical markers like where the states end and begin, all sorts of things. The purpose of a scale is, let's take this map for instance over here. It says 557 miles is equal to 1 inch. So if you wanted to figure out how far is it from Jacksonville to New York, what you would do is you would take a ruler and you would measure that and see how many inches is it. And you know that for every 1 inch, it's 557 miles. So you would just multiply however many inches there are by miles. And you also could set this up as a proportion, which is what we did in class yesterday, to maybe figure it out that way if you decided that would work for you. All right, your target for today. Today I can use ratio tables to solve multi-step practical problems by scoring at least 2 out of 3 on the exit ticket. So there is an exit ticket today. So what I want you to do with 10 minutes left of class is to stop working on the handout and make sure that you work on the exit ticket and submit it before class is over. All right, so here's how we're going to do this. The first problem is going to pop up. You're going to press pause. So you'll press pause, you'll solve the problem, and then once you're finished, you're going to press play again, and I'm going to work out the problem so that you can figure out if you did it correctly and got the right answer. So right now, everyone needs to hit pause and solve the problem on your own. And once you're done, press play. All right. It says, at the SPCA shelter, there are 12 dogs and 8 cats. If this ratio continues, how many dogs will be at the SPCA when there are 80, this is what it says on yours, animals total. So my box or table is missing a row. Yours has the correct number of rows. So I'm just going to add this so that it says total number of animals. And I know that 8 plus 12 is 20. So the question says, how many dogs, so I'm going to put a question mark there, are there if there are 80 total animals? So what you do is you look at your numbers and you figure out, okay, how do I go from 20 to 80? Remember, the only rules are you can only multiply or divide. So to go from 20 to 80, that's times 4. And then whatever we do to the bottom, we do the same thing to the other number. So 12 times 4 would give me an answer of 48. So there would be 48 dogs if there are 80 total animals. Okay, question number 2. Go ahead and press pause and solve this yourself. When you're done, press play. All right, the problem says you have 2 flower beds in which to plant roses and tulips. You want the ratio of tulips to roses to be the same in each bed. You plant 10 tulips. So once again, I'm missing a box here. This is tulips. There are 10, so you should put 10 in that box. And 6 roses. So I know my total there would be 16. How many roses, or yours says, how many tulips will you need if you plant 64 plants? So 64 plants is going to be the total, and we want to know how many tulips. So I don't know how to go from 16 to 64, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my calculator to try to figure that out. So I'm going to type in 64 divided by 16, and it gives me 4. So I know that 16 times 4 gives me 64, and I'm trying to find out how many tulips there are, so I'm going to do the same thing here. So 10 times 4 gives me an answer of 40. All right, next one. So go ahead and press pause, solve this on your own, then I'm going to go over it. A car dealership has the same ratio of sports cars to family cars on the lot. They keep 5 family cars to every 3 sports cars. If there are 9 sports cars on their lot, how many family cars do they have? So we need to label these boxes, and I need one more. So we're going to have sports cars, family cars, and we're going to have a box for total. And they told us that the ratio is 5 family cars, make sure you put that in the right box, for every 3 sports cars. And that makes a total of 8. The question says, if there are 9 sports cars, how many family cars do they have? Okay, so we're going to look at this and think, okay, do I know how to go from 3 to 9? Well, that's times 3. So whatever we do here, we come down and do here. 5 times 3 gives us an answer of 15. All right, number 4. Go ahead and press pause and solve it yourself. When you're done, press play. All right, in Miss McDonald's class, the ratio of boys to girls is 4 to 5. If this ratio continued, how many boys would be in her class if there were 54 students? So where it says 54 students, we know we're going to need a box for a total amount of students. So let's label our table. We need boys. And it doesn't matter if you put boys or girls first. Girls, and then we need total. So the ratio is, it says boys to girls, and then it says 4 to 5. So 4 goes with boys and 5 goes with girls. So there are 4 boys to 5 girls, and I know that's 9 total students. So the question says, how many boys, so this is what I don't know, so I'm going to put an X there for my unknown value, and I know that there are 54 students. So I have to figure out, how do I go from 9 to 54? So I know I'm multiplying, but if I don't know my facts, I'm going to come over and use my calculator. And I'm going to type in 54 divided by 9 to figure out what I need to multiply by. And the answer is 6. So I'm going to multiply 9 times 6 to get 54. So to figure out how many boys there are, 4 times 6 gives me 24. And if you didn't know that, you can type it into your calculator. All right, the next question. So go ahead and press pause. When you're finished solving it, press play to check your answer. All right, number 5. The Norview Navigators volleyball team has a record of 4 wins and 1 losses. If 25 games were played, how many losses would the team have? So the way this is worded, it says if 25 games were played. So I know I need another row for total games. So when we label this, we need a row for wins, 1 for losses, and 1 for total. And the numbers they gave us, well, there were 4 wins, 1 loss. I know that that adds up to 5. The question says if 25 games were played, so that's going to be my total, 25. How many losses would the team have? So I'm looking for that X value right there. So I come down here and I think, okay, how do I go from 5 to 25? And if I don't know, I type it into my calculator. 25 divided by 5. Most of us know that answer, but it's okay if you don't. You have your calculator. And that gives me 5. So I know that 5 times 5 gives me 25. So I come up here and I do the same thing to the number of losses. And I get an answer of 5. All right, so on to the back. So I'm just going to do a couple of these with you. So the first one says miles run and time, and it just gives you a table. So go ahead, press pause, and fill in those empty blanks, and I'll go over the answer. All right, so when I look at this, I'm going to start with this star right here. You don't have to do them both at the same time. Break it up. So if I'm trying to figure this one out, I'm going to go up here and look. Okay, so here's the 4 because I'm trying to figure this out. Do I know how to go from 2 to 4? Well, yeah, it's just times 2. So whatever I do there, I'm going to come down here, and I know that that missing value is a 6. Okay, so I'm going to erase this just to kind of clean it up a little bit. So now I have this missing star right here. So that's like my X value. And I think, okay, it coincides with the 9. So let me see if I can figure out a way to get to 9. 6 to 9? No, I don't know that. But I do know how to go from 3 to 9. That's just times 3. So whatever I do here, I'm going to go straight up to that same number. So 2 times 3 would give us what? 6. So instead of an X, I now know that that number is a 6, too. All right, so let's go to the next one. Go ahead and press pause and solve it. And then when you're done, press play. Okay, so now we're missing 3 stars. That's okay, just take it one step at a time. So when I look at this star, that's my first X value I'm going to solve for. So I come up here and I'm trying to think, do I know how to go from 5 to 10? Well, yeah, it's just times 2. So then I come down here. 8 times 2 gives me 16. So the answer for that star is 16. So let's move on to another one. Okay, so we're missing this value. So let's look at the 24. I don't know how to go from 16 to 24, but I do know that 8 times 3 is 24. So I'm going to come straight up to that same column, and I'm going to say 5 times 3, and that gives me 15. So let's move to that very last star. Okay, so it coincides with a 20. So 15 to 20, nope. Do I know how to go from 10 to 20? I do, it's times 2. So I follow that straight down. I'm going to say 16 times 2, and you can type that in your calculator. I know that it's 32. So that's how you find all those missing values. All right, so here's your next one. This time we're missing 3 numbers again. So just take it one step at a time. Press pause, solve it, and then press play to see the correct answer. All right. So here's our first missing star. To go from 5 to 10, I know that's times 2. So I come down to the same column and do the same thing. So that one's going to be a 16. Okay, let's move to the next star right here. So I have a 35. I don't know how to go from 10 to 35, so I try the 5. 5 to 35, if you don't know, type in your calculator. I do know that that is times 7. So I come down to the same column. 8 times 7. If you don't know that, you come over to your calculator, type it in, because you don't want to mess these up, especially when you have a calculator. So, whoops, 8 times 7, and it gives us 56. So there we go. So last star. So the missing value corresponds with the 72. So 56 to 72, oh, I'm not sure. 16 to 72, once again, I'm not sure. I could check it with the calculator. I know that 8 times 9 gives you 72. So I'm going to come up here and multiply 5 times 9. And I know that 5 times 9 is 45. All right, so the next one, missing all these stars right here, and that's okay. So just take it one step at a time. So go ahead and press pause, answer it, and then press play again. All right, so here we go. Let's start with this one. So it corresponds with 42. So 7 times 6 gives me 42. So I do the same thing here, and I get 12. Okay, then I'm going to move on to the next one. So 56. So we just figured this out on a calculator. We know 7 times 8 is 56. So I'm going to do the same thing to the 2 and get 16. So how do we get to 63? So if you don't know, all you got to do is type in your calculator. 63 divided by 7. And you get 9. So I know that 7 times 9, whoopsies, gives you 63. So I do the same thing here, and that gives me 18. All right, so I think you're pretty good to go ahead, if you're at this point, to keep working by yourself. And if you want to check the answers, the substitute does have an answer key, and I think we may just post those on the room. So I'll probably tape it to the chalkboard in the back, and the chalkboard in the front is where the answer key will be, so you can go up there and check those answers. Good luck, you guys. Don't forget to pause with 10 minutes left and complete your exit ticket. Have a good day.